All right, good afternoon, everybody. We'll call the Senate Committee on Growth and Infrastructure to order. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Senator Hammond?
Here.
Senator Hansen?
Here.
Senator Pizzina?
Present.
Senator Spearman?
Here.
Chair Harris?
Here. Thank you. We have all members present, and so we have a quorum. We have just one bill on our agenda today. That is Senate Bill 257, which revises provisions governing tax abatements for certain renewable energy facilities. We are once again joined by our colleague, Senator Daly, and I will turn it over to you, sir, for your bill presentation. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Skip Daly, representing Senate District 13 for the record. So you do have Senate Bill, I don't have the number on here, 257, on the quarterly, changing from annual to quarterly on the reports that are to be submitted to the Governor's Office on Energy. So I was requested by some constituents, people in labor that wanted to see the reports go from annually to quarterly. The reason I think that they wanted that and the genesis of that, and I agree, is that when you do the annual report, they may be out of compliance, in and out of compliance. They may not have the 50% required Nevada workers. They may not have all of those criteria, and then meet it towards the end. And this is designed to make sure they're in compliance every quarter as they go through the job and can't make any manipulations and various things on that. Talking with a couple of people, you'll be surprised. Somebody said, "Oh, this is simple." I said, "There are no simple bills. It may be straightforward, but none are simple." So I was doing a little checking on that. I was contacted by a representative from ORMAT, a couple of other people that had questions about, well, there's a lot of work that goes into these reports and various things. So doing a little bit of research, if you went and wanted to look, one of the part of the information that they're required to turn in is under NRS 701A.377, which essentially says you have to keep a record essentially as a certified payroll report for the workers that are performing construction. And that's part of one of the reports they have to send in that would now be quarterly instead of annually. And then the other report is under NRS 701.365 subsections D and E. And that requires much more reporting about how many workers they're going to have that are not in construction, how much their wages are, and various things. So my thought process is there, if there's going to be a change, and I'll check with the rest of the folks and might eliminate some of the stuff. Really, they're trying to get at the construction portion of this. So we may not have to have, because some of these contracts have to last at least 10 years in order to be qualified. And we're really just concerned about the construction phase. So if we had any changes, and I'll talk with them, it would be to limit this to the construction portion of it for the additional reporting. But I do have to check with some other people. If that was a concern about the costs and the effort and the time to put in the extra reports, really just during this construction phase of the work is what we're trying to get at. And I think, I haven't checked with anybody, but that's what I'm thinking will address their issues. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. It is straightforward, not necessarily simple.
All right, thank you for that presentation, Senator. Committee members, any questions? Senator Hansen.
One quick one. Don't they already, well, it seems so silly to use this mic right now and you're sitting right there. Don't they already do, they have to do a report anyway on prevailing wage every week, don't they? Aren't they required during the construction window? So really, this is already being done. All this is a compilation quarterly, mixing apples and oranges here?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, Skip Daly for the record, Senate District 13. So these are not public works jobs, right? So the prevailing wage application or prevailing wage is not actually required to be paid. In fact, what it says is that workers are required to be paid 175% of the state average wage, and they're all required to be provided health insurance with dependent coverage. And that average or that wage rate is an average across the board. So some people might be paid a little less, some will be paid more, but the average overall for all the workers has to be that 175% of the state average wage. So no, there's not certified payroll reports in the tradition on a monthly basis anyway to an awarding body. They have to keep what 377 says, is that they'll keep a report on the workers the same as required under 338070, which is the prevailing wage portion of it. But they don't turn them into an awarding body, and there's an annual report where they have to substantiate what the wage rates were. This would change it to quarterly. So that's where I'm hitting on the construction side of it. So no, it's not monthly certified payroll reports like you're thinking of on a regular construction job,
Okay.
public works construction job.
Very good. Thanks, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Senator Pazina.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. And it's so good to see you again. The senator was kind enough to speak to me about this one a bit earlier. So, just to share, for me, the concern would be, because I do think this is important, but just maybe looking at the scope of what needs to be provided to ensure that these organizations are following the requirements in order to continue to get the abatements in the first place, but just maybe limiting the scope, because I know how much some of that accounting time can take, what a toll it can take. So just ensuring that we're looking at the requirements of what needs to be met and making sure that maybe we put somewhere in the bill what that scope contains, just to keep it limited.
And thank you, Madam Chair. Again, Skip Daly for the record. Having spoke with you and a few other people on that and some of their concerns, I started looking in to say, well, what needs to go into these reports and various things. So, again, I'll talk with the person that approached me. I'll reach out to the governor's office on energy and try to get that. But I think what we're really trying to get to is during the construction phase, we want to make sure that they're meeting that 50% Nevada workers, 175% of the state average wage, that the health insurance provisions are being properly met, and having that go for a whole year, and they show an end report that says we're in compliance, but they were in and out of compliance. I think the quarterly report's done. After the construction's over, that part of it, I think, may fall off anyway, but it's not clear, so that's what we would try to make for sure. And then the rest of the report that's required in subsections D and E of NRS 701A.365, there is additional reporting and stuff that goes in there, and maybe that can go back to annual after the construction phase is over, because there's construction requirements in there. So from what I understand of the people that requested the bill, they're really trying to hit on the construction phase. And maybe that'll address your issue on all of this effort. At least it'll be limited to the, 24 months or whatever period that the construction's going on. It could be a little bit longer in the construction, but it would be limited. Not the full 10 years of the abatement or the program.
Additional questions? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you so much, Senator Daly. We will open it up for testimony in support of Senate Bill 257. Go ahead and fill the seats. State your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Chair Harris. Andy Donahue for the record with the Labor Employers Cooperation and Education Trust in support of the bill as written. And to address the member's question, most of the elements that would be reportable are fairly clearly enumerated in the eligibility for the tax benefit they're asking for. And we can go over that offline as to the extent any of you might ask for or need. And good, for the record, Andy Donahue, thank you.
Okay, I don't see anyone in Las Vegas to testify. BPS, can we check if there's anyone on the phone who'd like to testify in support of Senate Bill 257?
Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Anyone here in Carson City like to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 257? Okay, I don't see anyone in Las Vegas either. BPS, would you just check one more time, please? Or 2 more times, actually.
Yes, Chair. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. Anyone here in Carson City who'd like to testify in the neutral position? Okay, not seeing any. Also, not in Las Vegas. Anyone on the phones for the neutral position, please?
Chair, there are no callers for testimony at this time.
Okay, with that, Senator Daly, we're going to go ahead and close out the hearing on Senate Bill 257. Thank you so much for your time. We'll go ahead and turn it over to public comment. Anyone in Carson City for public comment? All right, no one's coming up. Still no one in Las Vegas. Can we check if there's anyone who'd like to give public comment on the phone, please?
Yes, Chair. The lines are open and working, but there are no callers at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, another wrap-up of a very efficient committee. Appreciate everyone's time. Have a great day. We are adjourned.